What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to bring you my long-term review. This is the Tofu 65. This is the KBD 67 mechanical fully assembled keyboard. This is the version 2. I don't know if they have a version 3 out now, but this will give you an idea of what this thing's like long-term. And I'll go through some quick things about just the ordering process, all that jazz, and because that's part of the review, that's part of the buying process. So this cost me $307 total. It starts at $180, and then basically you can customize your switches. You don't have to order keycaps, but I ordered some keycaps too, which were $50. So you're looking about $350 depending on what switches you get. I went with the Zilio 67 gram version 2 switches. They're not lubed, mainly because the KBDfans did not offer that service at the time, so it was not an actual option for me. I probably could do it myself, but I don't have time to do that. I have a real job, so. So the first thing took about 2 weeks to come in. I think it comes from Thailand or China or somewhere in Asia. Great shipping, packaging, everything was good there. The few negatives is that some of the switches were out of stock, so you really need to pay attention to that, but they have a ton of variety with that, so that was a really good process. So the few good things, bad things, the keyboard has worked flawless. I haven't had any issues with it, none at all. It does have one weak point, I would say, in it, and that is this little USB-C connector here. Seems like not the greatest of quality out there. I don't think it's the best. It just feels extremely weak when you plug anything into it, but I haven't had any issues with it. There's no adjustability, so basically this angle that you got here is the angle you're going to get with the actual keyboard, so make sure you're okay with that. If you're real picky about your angles of your keyboard, maybe not get this one. So the build quality on this is top-notch. The best built keyboard I've ever had. I've had Ducky keyboards before. I've had Corsair. I have had actually maybe I've had some Logitech keyboards, but the Ducky are probably the most other well-built ones, but this thing is solid. It's extremely heavy. It's all aluminum. I got a brass plate at the bottom, and it looks very, very good on your desk. It has a very nice premium look to it, but also has a little bit of edge that you can basically do any type of keycaps you want with this. They're just Cherry MX stabilizers. I'm not a mechanical keyboard expert, but this is the best built keyboard and easy to use keyboard. So it has some nice tactile feel to it, which is mainly due to the switches. It would be a lot better if it was lubed, but they offer that service now. Back then they didn't. So the build quality on this is great. The look of it is great. It has a very good overall feel to it. It does have some heft to it, so if you're wanting to travel and carry this around, I probably would go with maybe one of the Ducky, like the SF boards, which are pretty light, pretty easy, pretty compact. These are heavy because they're mainly, they didn't make a polycarbonate one, but I wanted the aluminum one just for that overall feel of it. So that's good. I kind of miss the function row, but that's more, you can get one with function rows on it. But that's something to keep in mind. If you use a function row, I would highly get like the 75 or 85%, so you have that option. So that's kind of my overall feel of the build quality and overall use of it. The switches are subjective. I love Zilio switches, but that's something that's more of a personal preference there. So that's it with the positives. It's hands down one of the best built keyboards I would say around for that price point. There is more expensive ones. You could do them yourself, which they do have, where you can order basically all the parts and do it yourself, which I think is a really good option. So a few negatives. First is the price, about $350 total. Once you count the actual keycaps and everything, you can go well above that depending on what keycaps you get. But that's a pretty steep price point, and currently I don't use this keyboard all that much because I have my MacBook Pro back here where I use it more mobile. I'm not down here in the basement all that often, so I do find that this keyboard doesn't get used as much as it used to when I had my office upstairs. So that's something that's kind of a negative for that, the price point, and you need to really probably make sure you use it a lot, otherwise you're really not able to appreciate it. So I barely use it now, so it's something I may get rid of, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But that's really the only couple negatives. It's very heavy, which is a positive and a negative depending on what you want, and it's very expensive. I think that's a high price point for most people. I think $100, $125 is a good sweet point for just about everybody, but if you're wanting to splurge, I would highly recommend this. It'll last you a lifetime. I've used it pretty heavily for the first around a year, and then after that, not so much. It's just a solid keyboard to type on, so it has real good tactile feedback. There's not a lot of vibration or wobble in the switches, so that's more switch based also. So each switch is going to have its own feel to it. So probably going to get rid of it mainly because everything I use now is all Mac OS, and this doesn't have the function rows which I need, and it is a Windows based general laptop. I could probably use the software for this, so this does have a software to where you can change the layout of the keys. I think the software is hot garbage, but that's just my opinion, probably because I don't use it all that often. But when I tried to use it, it just wasn't the most, I don't know, it seems like it's 10 years old and it needs a little bit of a refresh. But besides that, it's a solid software system if you take the time to learn how to do it. I didn't care about that, so I got frustrated with it and quit using it. So that's my overall review of this. It's well worth the money if you know this is what you want. I will probably downgrade to maybe the Corsair, or not the Corsair, the new Logitech MX keyboard, which is $99. It has a numpad, function keys, all that. It's Mac OS centered, so it'll play a little bit better and speed up my productivity, mainly when I'm doing video and photo editing, which I mainly do down here, just because I have a larger monitor. So that's it. If you have any comments, questions, leave them below. I will get back to you. Just make sure you go through the pros and cons of this, depending on if it's something you want. You could really, if you get this lubed with the switches you want, it will sound and feel amazing. Way better than any other keyboard out there, in my opinion. But I'm not a keyboard expert, so maybe take that for a grain of salt. But that's it. Have a good rest of the day, weekend, whatever's out there. I'm pretty sure I already said that. I do this all the time. And that's it. See you guys next time.